Hi, welcome to Brave Talk. I'm Dr. Melissa Chilio, and today we have special guest Dr. Annie Simpson, a clinical psychologist and a colleague of mine. We work together, we're in the same world, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Annie. I'm a psychologist in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm the director of Cornerstone Child and Family Psychology Clinic. And I have just started a platform, social media platform called Generation Brave.
I love the name,
Thank you
by the
for
way.
having me. Actually, my
Uh,
daughter named it.
she
It
did? Oh,
was
great
supposed to be
name.
raising brave, and I told her, and she was like, "Raising brave what?" I was like, brave kids. She's like, "No, I think you should call it Generation Brave." I was like, "That's brilliant."
That's a great, great name. So kudos to her for that. Okay, so tell me why you started this platform.
Well, I think the real reason I started is that, I've been a director of this clinic now since 2017, and we have almost a year wait list. And these kids come to us after sitting on a wait list with an anxiety disorder. And I think to myself, if I had gotten to them earlier at some kind of, before, given these skills to these parents before, maybe this could have been prevented. So, really, my intention with the platform is how do we sort of disseminate these skills before kids are sitting on a wait list, having an anxiety disorder brewing, because these skills why are we gatekeeping them? And you don't have to wait until there's a problem. We could be giving them to families in the front end. So that's my intention. That's my hope.
It's a great idea. I think what we're looking for really is empowering parents with people who are actually doing the work in the field, who understand the science, and who want to empower the families. Because I feel like anytime we're doing our best work, we have to include the families, of course, because they're with their kids all the
Absolutely.
time
Yeah.
and giving
As I
them
always
this.
talk about the dry cleaning model of therapy, like the idea you're going to drop your kid off and get them back new, like that doesn't work. Like the parents are the ones who are with these kids all the time. So yeah,
And we
involving the
want their
parents.
family to function better. Like, I think that's the biggest goal. Like, that's always been the reason I got into the field is the idea of helping to help these families function better, especially with things that we know can be helpful and really change the trajectory of their life. Like to not have anxiety that's debilitating, especially in the early years, and then progress through adolescence and adulthood is just amazing. Like, what great tools to have. So,
Absolutely. And they're tools for life.
I know, exactly. Tools you can apply for everything. So let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit about how we first met. So
Okay.
I was a postdoc with my mentor, Dr. Steve Kurtz at Child Mind Institute. So I was the first postdoc there. And Annie came and to see our intensive program, which then was Brave Buddies and has since transformed into Mighty Mouth. He has, I do Confident Crew. Your program is
Camp Brave and Club
Camp
Brave.
Brave and
Mhm.
Club Brave. And so tell me how you ended up coming to Childmind for that, and then what your thoughts were about the program.
Sure. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. So I was at the time the psychologist in the infant psychiatry clinic at BC Children's Hospital, which were the kids 6 and under, and as well as I had a private practice. And because I was an expert in young children's anxiety, I started getting these kids into my office, into my practice with selective mutism. And I didn't learn about selective mutism at school. I don't know about you. I had no idea what I was doing. So I Googled who is the expert in selective mutism? Out came Dr. Steve Kurtz. So I cold emailed him, and I remember thinking to myself, like, he's never going to respond. And I wrote, "Hi, I'm a psychologist in Vancouver. Any chance that you have a manual I can purchase?" And he wrote me back and he said, "No, I don't have a manual, but I'll make you a deal. I won't pay you, but I won't charge you. Come out to New York and be a part of my Brave Buddies camp and learn the treatment hands on." I was like, okay. So I happened to have an 18-month-old at the time. And I
Wow.
called my mom and I said, "Mom, I have this crazy opportunity. What do you say?" She says, "Send him over." She took my
Oh.
toddler, yeah, for almost 2 weeks. And I flew to New York and it was, career changing. It was just the most amazing experience. I had already been a psychologist at that point for 5 years, and I couldn't believe what I saw. Like, I have to this day, I have so many memories of how these children's lives were just transformed by this camp. And I had been working with this one child already for almost maybe 4 months weekly. And I knew I needed to do exposure. So I was doing exposure, and it was like molasses. And every day it was a little bit better, but really, I mean, and then I came back with the skills. And when one day I got farther than I had gotten all the days combined. It's just,
Oh,
it's an incredible model. And yeah, so
it
yeah,
works so well. It does.
works
I know.
so well.
So my story with Steve is I was his extern at NYU Child Study Center, and he was
Uh,
like, "Really want to do a camp." And because I had been really rooted in ABA, he was like, "I think this." He was kind of like, "I'm a behaviorist, kind of wannabe in terms of ABA therapy." He's like, "You know all this stuff in terms of this. It'd be so great. Come work with me and, as an extern." And I've never worked with a kid with SM before, but he had this idea, and I was like, "Well, I can definitely apply behavioral principles to help with this." It just fits so well with what we were doing in therapy and what he had guided me on. And we just, came up with this great program. It was all his amazing idea. And then, like, even the exposures and activities. And then I went for my internship year. And then I came back a year later and then it moved to Child Mind. And then I think you were there the second year in Child Mind
I
that
was there
uh,
the Dateline year.
2011, the
Yeah.
Dateline year, 2011. Yep. Yeah. So that was the second year I'd been running it there, and it was just amazing. Like, again, the parent training component of it, which is so critical, but then having all the kids. You were there, I think there were like 20 something kids that year too. It's like an older group
Yeah.
and a
Two
younger group.
rooms.
Yep. Huge, huge space, all the coordinating, but it's so great to be able to have other professionals come in to see how to execute it. It's still like, you know, a big group to manage and the training and all that, but like it is so powerful to get as close to a classroom as you can. And what I think really makes the biggest difference is the one-to-one. To have that, one-to-one with a counselor every day, changing the counselor every day.
In
And
context,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like, it's not just
yeah,
one to one, but it's like in the environment is so incredible. These kids don't
the
get that
whole
opportunity.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you're just facilitating pro-social skills, you're facilitating the exposures, you're facilitating, the presentations. Like it looks like camp, but I feel like every minute is like, we're trying to
Therapeutic.
maximize
I
opportunity. And like by the end of it, I'm always like, I'm exhausted.
know. Exhausted. I know. I remember this one moment that's just stuck with me all these years, and I don't know if you remember it, but we were taking the bus, and it was actually the child that was featured on the Dateline, and we were taking the bus, and I remember this child had not, and they say it in the Dateline, had not spoken to anybody, not another kid, only his parents his whole life. And he turned to another little kid, and he had been eating this blue candy. And he turned to his new friend, his first real friend, and said, "Is my tongue blue?" And went like, "Eh?" And they started laughing hysterically. And I thought to myself, this is magic. Like, this child, the joy you get interacting with someone of your a peer, and that I mean, it was just the look in his eyes. I knew that I was bringing it back to Vancouver.
I'm so glad that you did though. I mean, now there's these camps kind of in different pockets all over. I know I'm the only one in Asia. I think you guys are the only one in Canada, correct?
There's a second one now that started 2 years ago
In
in Toronto.
BC or in Toronto? So, like, but it's across the country.
Yeah, people were
And
coming to
then
our
yeah,
from Toronto before. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, there's just it's not growing, I think, as fast as it needs to, but I also think the therapists we're not training enough therapists in this area. I still think people don't know enough about it, what SM is, and, again, I think both of us are trying to train more therapists, but also just help more families in any way that we can. Okay, so now, you've been doing this ever since then, so it's a long time, 2011.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
15
Yes.
years
We did
you've
it.
been
Yeah. We
that's
started our camp 2 years later. I think this is going to be our 12th camp.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and so
huge.
it's grown, it's huge. It's last year we had 25 kids. And what you were saying about training people. So one of the things that I love about this model is that we have grad students come in. And so SFU and UBC, it's the most popular practicum. Everybody wants to do it. So we often have to turn people away. But because it's one-on-one, we're able to train so many clinicians. Yeah.
Which is
And
awesome.
the universities aren't 100% happy with us because we often turn adult psychologists or neuropsychologists into child psychologists after the camp.
It's just fun. Like, it's
Magical. I
so
know it's
fun.
fun.
It is fun, and, I think what I get from it a lot of time with these kids is they get better, and we don't always see that kind of progress and change with other disorders the same way. Whereas, when I have a 2.5-year-old, a 3.5-year-old, 4-year-old, like they could literally start primary school being
Different.
themselves, their best selves, how they are at home, and the
That's
anxiety, it might pop up a little bit later when you enter adolescence, but never the SM again, which is amazing. So it's
yeah.
like
You're
good treatment
changing the
really does work.
trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, so meaningful. I know. As tiring as it is to do those camps, they are the best thing ever. They're most energizing, and then afterwards, you're like, "I've given it my all."
Oh,
It's like like you've been on stage for a week.
so good.
That's amazing. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Okay, so now you're just getting into the social media space because you really want to get some more access out there in general. Because there's only so many hours we can work in a week.
That's right. Yeah. I really
Okay.
feel I mean, there's a couple of reasons, to be honest, and I think you were talking about it earlier a little bit about making sure that people have access to evidence-based care and care that works. What I think has happened, I don't know if this can be controversial, but I don't shy away from those kind of things, is that non-evidence-based people have really been dominating the social platforms, and I think it's because psychologists have this idea as, "We don't do those kinds of things, like, it's not professional." And so consequently, I feel like a lot of parents have been getting access to treatments or pretend treatments that
Hmm.
don't work. And
Yeah.
then they feel horrible, they feel ashamed, they feel, their kids are suffering, they're suffering, and it just doesn't have to be that way. And when I've now gotten to know the evidence-based community on social media, there's like 12 of us.
Yeah.
It's so tiny.
It is
So,
tiny. It's because we're actually, I think, well, for also, we're doing the work. Like it's
well,
not
that's
like
it.
this
We're
is
working.
our only job. I will say though that I think the fact that we do the work and that's really the space we live in, I think it makes what we're really sharing, applicable because we're not just talking in theory, we're talking in
Right.
practice. And like we see the variety of cases. And if you've seen one kid with SM, you've seen one kid with SM. Like the
Right.
presentations are different and the
Totally.
family dynamics are different with it. Like there's so many variables that are going on that, for us to actually be there on the ground doing the work with the families and then sharing is
That's right.
really what separates us from the influencers who like again, they're talking about some, good CBT strategies and different things, but it's different. And I
Sometimes.
don't sometimes, but I don't want people to
Sometimes they're
feel
not.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
parents are feeling bad if and there's a lot of Facebook parent groups too, and the parents are kind of feeding each other advice, and sometimes that's not accurate either. And there's new people always trying to get information for their kids. So having individuals like us who are trying to share the skills, improve that accessibility to care, but also to just the tools that are needed, I think is going to
They
make
work
just
so
a difference.
well.
They
I mean,
do.
that's the thing. They work so well. Now, they're not easy to implement, especially, with parenting and accommodations. It's hard. It's really hard. Like our pull to help our kids out in the wrong way is really strong. But, once you're able to do it,
Yeah,
work. So,
I know. I think, just what you said too, help your kids in the wrong way. Like we don't realize it's the wrong way. It's our innate, it's a part of us, our kids is to protect them. Like we are built that way and we don't realize how much the words we're saying are reinforcing things or the behaviors that we're doing. It's not always instinctual for what is best to face these fears. And
um, goes against everything that I feel like in our fiber to do this work. And so it's just not intuitive. And so it's how do you support families to do something that feels hard, but is helpful? So,
it is definitely hard. It's hard to not just give in those moments and just pick them up and want to shield them and give the koala care. And I'm just like, you're signaling danger. I'm like, turn them out, let them know they're okay. Yeah, I've had some funny cases this past week where I've had some toddlers where it's they're still in that phase where like they don't want to do something, they just turn and they like look out the window and then they pretend they're deaf. And they're like, I can't see you, you can't see me. And it's like, it's just the cutest thing ever because like they literally think like, I'm not here. But they need a break, right? So it's again, it's reading that as a sign. They're not trying to be oppositional. They
Right.
need a break. It's going
They
too
need a
fast.
break.
So it's again, it's reading
Yeah,
the behavior and everything, but it's so
yeah.
funny. Okay, so tell me, when you face a family that's skeptical, perhaps about intensive treatment due to the costs or the time commitment or all of that, how do you deal with that?
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm,
I don't face a lot of families that are skeptical, to be honest with
mhm.
you. I think we've done a pretty good job here in BC, doing a lot of public education in terms of how effective the intensives are, as well as working with families with their insurance, which is
Yes.
to the cost,
Yeah.
because we do parent components, so the parent components can be billed under their name. Now, I know it's different in different countries, in the States and probably in Asia as well. Even still, families realize how important this is. So, yeah, I haven't encountered a lot of families being resistant to the camp.
That's wonderful. I think right now we're in the phase where some of the families are like, are they ready? That's the big question. Are they ready? And is it worth it? Because like right now to do it, or like, oh, can we wait? And there might be, even the families who come in, sometimes they're like, I know there's something going on, but my family is like, it's fine. Or the school is like, this is
Yeah,
normal, or like give them time.
the
So like I feel
doctor,
like the doctor possibly, like, too, yes, and the
wait.
pediatrician, like, there's so many things, and, I feel like so much of it is to validate, like, that instinct of, like, "I know this is not my kid," like, if they're struggling like this, but then the belief, like, "Should we be doing therapy this early?" Like, "Will this just go away? Am I being too anxious?"
Yeah. The ready thing I think is really key because I do get a lot of parents saying, "Well, they're not ready yet." They're
Mhm.
not ready to go right, and I keep my big thing is, like, you're not ready before. Like, you're not gonna ever become ready. You only become ready by taking small, brave steps. And so, explaining to families that the small, brave steps is what makes them build the confidence. Like, you don't start ready. So, I think when they see it in action, I think that helps a lot too. I mean, I know you've had this experience, like kids who have never spoken to anybody, and then they come into our office, and within 1 hour, they're talking responsibly. Now, that's not all kids who can talk within 1 hour responsibly, but a
Yeah.
good portion can.
I mean, I'm gonna say the majority, like, the
I
majority
agree with
can. And we have people who come from, overseas, and they'll be like, "Oh, I've been working with therapists for years and never had a word," and and then within the hour of the baseline and the skills work, and I think it's also
that.
the technique is really about, like, to when to go, when to pull back, like, I think that's where the big
An
technique
art.
really comes in, the
Yeah,
art
there's
of
the
it.
art element to the technique for sure. But, that kills me. When families have said they've gone for therapy for a year, paying money and time, right? And time off work, everything. The kid has never said one word to the therapist. I think to myself, like, therapist, why are you not saying it's not working? Like, that's where I get really frustrated because families don't know.
I'm but I'm not sure those therapists know
I think they don't
what's
know
supposed
either.
to happen. Like, I wanna just assume positive intent
I
and,
agree. I
not
like that.
mean, I try to do that, but, I think they're trying to figure it out. A lot of times these therapists are pretty open about, "I haven't worked with this before," but then they keep seeing it where, for us, I think, again, from the CBT mindset, we're like, "If we're not seeing change, things aren't working." Like, what's our plan B? Where are we gonna pivot? What are we gonna add? And I think it could be just a different mindset.
I think you're right. I do think the modality is that we come from is one of we want to see progress, whereas other modalities might be, progress is happening inwards before. So that is a part. And the other thing I find is a lot of therapists are very open to working with me and consulting. And I find that, especially when families are coming from areas that they can't access therapy here, but I can do consults in, like, the interior or up northern BC and give the therapist the skills because the great thing about these skills is they're really teachable to anybody.
They really are. They are with practice, and I think that's what I mean, I'm sure you and I both have gotten better at how we teach it, so that way the learning curve is improved also. Like, I think at first how it was being taught, by me at least, like, I really struggled with the reflections and trying to get them to figure out how to do that, and then I've made it, like, fun in the training. And
Yes.
I also I don't know what you do with your parent for the skill training. I actually do a lot of it online because I show, like, a PowerPoint of it to go over the different activities, and, like, I feel like they're relaxed at home. It's usually in the evening in their pajamas, and, like, you get to see, like, their personalities, the parents kind of, one being like, "It's not that hard," like, teasing each other, like, it's really cute to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, we do it online with the breakout rooms so they parents can try out the skills with each other. Yeah.
So
And
cute.
then one thing that we sometimes add in camp, but not always, depends how chaotic camp is that we'll bring parents in and they can be therapists in the room for like one activity. So, like morning circle or prize store, and they get to try the skills in real life. And that's been a really fun component we've added sometimes too.
That is a huge component. I think being able to practice it and again, not go into that kind of don't behavior mode, with other
Yeah.
people's kids too.
Yeah.
So I have a question. How many of your kids do you think are multilingual in your practice? Is that pretty
Oh,
common there?
oh, yeah. I would say, oh gosh, I mean, I don't have hard numbers, but I would say 85%.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tons.
Oh,
Okay.
tons. Tons are coming in with 2, 3 languages. It definitely is a risk factor for sure, but it's not because they don't speak the language, but it definitely puts them at risk for it.
Yeah, and I think again that goes with the, perfectionism kind of piece of like, I can't say it exactly right. I'm stuck or I'm not
Yes.
sure. Even at a young age when they're just trying to code switch and figure it out, even if they are truly trilingual, bilingual, it's really,
Yes.
interesting to see that there's just this like, lack of confidence in that and giving it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you have lots of multilingual therapists there too to help.
Yeah, we have not, I wouldn't say lots, but we've had some that has been helpful for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried to have kids try to count in Chinese before, and they're just like, "You don't know Chinese." And I was like, "I don't know Chinese." But, like, if they have someone prompting them in Cantonese or in Mandarin, like, they can do the exposure, so it helps to be able to do it in multiple languages, which is hilarious.
The other thing that's really cute is when you get the kids who speak same language in a group. So I've had kids who both speak Chinese or two kids who speak Farsi, and they're saying something to each other, and then we have to guess what it is. And so that this is element of like I know more than you kind of takes away some of the anxiety, and that's been really fun kind of things
So
we've done
cute.
as well. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Okay, so tell me more about what other things are you envisioning for the platform that you're creating in terms of, like, disseminating information?
Yeah, I am hopefully going to start a prevention program. That is sort of my main idea, and that it's going to be at a price point that is affordable for families. That is my hope. So I'm brand new. This has been my brave step is doing this. I feel super uncomfortable with it, but I am getting better because when you do things repeatedly, they get easier. But this is month 3, and so I'm just slowly building. But yeah, my idea is to an easy access, affordable prevention program that families can access while they wait. So that's sort of my dream for the platform.
I love that. I think that's a great idea to be able to have disseminate that out there. And so it's going to be like a slow build kind of roll out for this. I just
Hoping to launch the program by January. That's sort of my
That's
goal.
the timeline. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what are you envisioning for the prevention program?
So it would start with modules, really like easy. I want this to be really like no barriers, right? That the price point, I mean, that's the thing. We're so expensive. Like, coming to see me for therapy is so expensive. And so many of the skills could be taught in a really affordable way. And so if families could get these skills and then while they wait, then by the time they see me, then I'm just helping them with implementation because they are, if that sometimes can be more tricky. So modules they can work at their own pace. That's sort of my beginning start, and then maybe community building too. We'll see. Community
Okay.
platform. Yeah,
I love that. I
that's
feel like
that's
one thing that a space I wanna go into is really getting into with schools, getting in with teachers and kind of education boards, especially early years, or international schools even, just because so much of it is school-based is where you really start to see it, and if we could actually get them, number 1, recognize it and share about it faster with the
early.
parents, not wait till the November conference, which is when I get a slew of kids. November conference or go ahead.
6 months in, I've had families say, they just called me in and said she hasn't said a word in 6 months. I'm like,
Easily.
"Really?"
Yes. Yeah. So there's that, there's the wait till the conference, they're 6 months in, and then there's also not understanding what the name of it is or what to do exactly, right? There's that accommodating or that's lowering the expectation or, you know you know, you can't get really 4-year-olds to write unless they can write, like, it's all of these other things, and the best of intentions, they're
That's
trying to
intentions,
figure it
always.
out, but
Yeah.
so much of it is just reinforcing what, we want them to be able to do, and we know that they can, with the right kind of skills,
Skills
just
and
being
support.
in the classroom with the teachers. Yeah.
Yeah.
How fast do you go to schools usually?
Oh, pretty quickly. I like to train teachers within the first, several months of treatment, because if the teacher can have the skills, and then I'll send my grad students um, as soon as possible as well. Once we get rolling, right? Get rolling a little bit, and then get the work happening in schools. And my goal when I send my students into the school is not just to do it in the school, but to train someone there so that
Yes.
that can happen in a more affordable way that parents aren't having to pay for a professional to go because someone in the school already knows what to do.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. So I'm pretty much the same with that. I want them to have a lot of success in the clinic and community where I know pretty 100% I can get them unstuck if ever they do get stuck before we go to the school and all the confidence has been built in those other ways. And then we go there. And again, the training model is so wonderful because you going for an hour with travel and everything else isn't as, it's just not as cost effective as sending a trainee who could go for 2 hours and, you're just getting more bang for your buck.
Totally. Exactly. Uh, and really, like, again, the teachers can learn how to do this. The trainee can teach the teachers. Like, it's
Mhm.
the skills are so teachable that it should just be, right away given to the teachers preventatively. Because they're not just for
Absolutely.
kids with selective mutism, right? Like
No.
any kind of reluctant talker or shy, quote unquote, child will benefit from these skills.
Or even any kid who's struggling to stay on task, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, the skills are applicable to kids who are struggling to stay with the group, who are, their
Yes,
attention is wandering or they're, taking up more space than they're supposed to because they're unaware. Like all of these things are these skills are really applicable to so many kids. It's a matter of just them being used in a particular way.
that's right.
And I think empowering the teachers with it would be huge. I find though that sometimes at first the teachers, if they're unfamiliar with me or just, kids with SM, there is some concern about the disruption it might cause. And, what I try to convey to the schools is our goal is to like be as unintrusive as possible. Like we kind of just want to fade in and we're there just to nudge and to really teach you. But like the goal is the class is supposed to flow the way it's supposed to
That's right.
flow normally.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if they yeah, again, I think it's understanding of, like, what exactly the anxiety disorder is.
That's right.
Have you been
And
thinking
I know
anything
when
so we go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, I find once teachers see it with their own eyes, they're like, "Oh," and they're so grateful. Like, it just takes one but wow, all of a sudden this kid's talking in my classroom. How did you do that? Right? And once they get it, then they get it.
They do get it. Talk to me a little bit about medication in Canada, how that goes. Is there, again, getting prescribers? Like, are families open to it right away?
Yeah. So one of the best talks ever is Dr. Kurtz's talk about they shouldn't have to work so hard. So I will send parents to see that. And what I learned from Steve over the years was that he says about his benchmarks that he has. And when I first started learning from him, I didn't really have my own internal benchmarks because I was new. But now that I've seen 300 kids myself, I know how fast they should be progressing. And I can tell quite early on if I want to say to a family, I want you to have this conversation with the doctor and talk about whether or not medication is part of this plan. And I feel like the first years I was really uncomfortable with that conversation because nobody wants to put their kids on meds, right? That's not what you really set out to do as a parent. But the risk that is associated with years of being stuck, not talking, just far outweigh any risks that might be involved in medication. And I've become really comfortable having that conversation with parents. And then they go speak to the physician, and I get them on meds, and then, anyone who has been reluctant, of course, every family has the right to make these decisions on their own time, but a lot of families will say to me, "I should have listened to you earlier." And I
Got it.
say, "Well, we're working
You weren't there yet.
we weren't there yet, right?" Like, it's hard. Like, I don't know as a parent how I would be able to make the decision either, right? Like, how would I? I'd like to hope that I would decide to do that, but
Yeah.
it's hard.
For me, I feel like it's like long term, short term, right? So I think if like they're not following the trajectory, and I talk about it at intake, just like these are the treatment options. Like it's not always a first go to, but like there will be a point where if they're not following the path, it's a conversation, and I just want you to start thinking about it now, just so you're aware. And then if we cross that bridge, that's another discussion that we'll have, and the power of it when it's needed, and when a kid has been working so hard and it's interfering with their ability to access the skills and get the benefit from it, they're missing opportunities. So, I haven't ever had a parent say, this was a bad choice for us.
Never.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's so important for parents to know is that, parents have positive responses. Kids have positive responses to these meds, and they're on it for a shorter time possibly when we do it earlier on. So, the habits are not being reinforced in the community. And it might not be the first med. I think that's also important to say. Like, you might have to adjust. Sometimes it isn't the first one that they go to. It's sometimes the second one. And that's again, the doctors get to do the prescribing for that. But the goal is that they're not on it for forever. And, Steve says, a year's worth of life events. And I feel like I really live by that because it makes
Me too.
sense. Like you want a year's worth of birthday parties and first day of school and family holidays and trips and, just really capturing life and having success before we start, titrating down.
Yeah. I also do what you do in that I say it from the very beginning before I've met the child so that it's not an afterthought that I've already prepared families for this. This will be a conversation we'll have if I feel like this would be helpful.
Yeah. And we both get, I think, every time I don't want my kid on meds.
Yes, I know. I don't, and I say that I get it.
Yeah,
I get
and I
it.
do,
I really
like,
get
we
it.
get it, like, we're there
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Alright, so tell me, so in terms of how telehealth is going there, like, so you have a long wait list, are your trainees doing telehealth if the kids can't get into you because of distance? Like, how does this work in Canada, like, in terms of getting kids there? Because I know you have massive provinces there.
Yes. I've made a personal decision that I won't see kids via telehealth anymore.
Okay. Oh, after COVID?
Um, After COVID. There was a lot of kids I treated with SM who were under the table for the whole session, and I don't know where
Oh
parents were,
god.
and I was like, I need some help getting them out of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
That being said, where I am a huge proponent of telehealth is with parents and training the parents how to do the skills. And I can coach parents through telehealth. I know my colleague, Dr. Catchpole, actually does in school sessions on telehealth sometimes. I find the in person really is so important with the kids personally. But definitely the parent piece is still happening a lot for sure.
Well, I feel like, first of all, telehealth with a new case of SM is extremely challenging. You can't one-on-one, like, I don't even like, you
I know.
that engagement, that would just be so overwhelming even if it's in their safe space. But in terms of PCIT-SM and coaching the parents, that is something that's very much possible via telehealth. And, sometimes for some of these consult cases, doing a baseline where you really can see the kid, like, that can be hugely beneficial.
Yes.
But long-standing, like, there's so much that we get in person, and that's why these camps are so great to have the bulk of time over
That's right.
5 days and see just the changes, even the changes in their body as they're growing in their
Wow.
comfort
They look
is
like
it
different kids sometimes.
they
Like, they
do.
actually physically look like different kids. It's amazing. And
Yeah.
because the camp is contained, right? Like you're getting 20 hours of therapy within a week. Families can plan for it. So they can plan and they can come to the location. They can get a Airbnb. They can take vacation from work as opposed to this once a week, having to take time off work for a day or whatever and trying because they have families come and drive an hour and a half. I think that one of the benefits of that intensive is, that you can just plan for it.
Can plan for it and you can see and it's just it's quality and quantity all in
Because you
one.
don't have to do the warm up
Yeah,
each time.
that too, like the warm up every session, especially when they're little, getting them in. Yeah, so I'm starting a camp in Maine for the first time. So I've been running the Hong Kong program for 10 years, and I've been going to Maine for almost 14 years now, and we spend our summers there, and I'm finally like, "You know what? There aren't camps in the Northeast. There's one in Boston that has a wait list, and it's obviously an amazing program, but they do it once a year, and there's all these kids like, the Northeast constitutes a lot of states,
Lot.
but there's no programs there, so, the hope this year is to start doing programs there every summer for 1 week 'cause, again, we've done this for so long, I'm like, "I can do a week, like,
Oh, you
half days, I can do this." But I'm hoping that again, it's gonna just increase that accessibility for families to find another place to go where in the summer, it can be a vacation. Like,
I was
what a
just gonna
great
say,
place
what
to
a
be on
beautiful
vacation.
place to go. Like, get a little Airbnb, go to Maine, and, have your kids
Afternoons on the beach
straight
still, have some
talking. Yeah, oh,
lobster.
sounds great. Can I come?
I know, right? Yes, everyone should come. There's so many Canadians that come to Maine still. Hopefully, we'll see this year. Who knows? All right. So, what do you want to leave parents with in terms of your messaging and what what you're really hoping to share with them?
I think it's with selective mutism and anxiety in general. It's not the goal is not to get rid of your kids' anxiety. It really, I really spent a lot of time on this. It really is to teach them how to be brave and do things even when they're hard, even when they feel anxious. And I know for myself that I run anxious. I'm an anxious person. Every new thing has always been hard, and I have the tools that I know can use to do them, right? And I feel like all families should have these tools in their families so that they can build brave families, that it's a culture in their family of what are you going to do today that's hard. And so specifically to SM, like, you can go out and do brave talking any day. I mean, that's the beauty about selective mutism as the topic of the fear is that there's so many opportunities to practice. And so really I want families to just think about how do you build bravery into your life, both for yourself to model and for your kids. So
I love that. Yes, facing challenges, growing your brave muscles, growing in your
yes.
confidence. Yes. Oh, well, I'm so thankful that we got to meet so many years ago and that now we've been in this field so long. I just, every time I saw you pop on social media, I was like, oh, Annie. And we've been
When
in
I saw
email.
you pop up, I was like, "Oh, friend."
It's just
There was a
nice. Like,
I know. It's a nice community I can see there. So, thank you.
yes, the SM world is a great community, I'd say, and, like, I think people need to know, like, the people who do this for a long time, like, we all know each other.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we're all very connected and, like, we're doing similar work, if not the same. Like, it's this wonderful community of people who really, want to give the best evidence-based treatment, and just it's phenomenal. I mean, some of the new practices, they were there as college interns then, and, like,
I
it's just
know.
amazing. I love it. It just keeps growing, so but thank you so much. I'm so glad that I had that opportunity to meet you way back when, and
Too.
hopefully I'll get to see you in Canada since, I'm a big Canada fan too, come there all the time.
Love that.
But this has been
Thank you
wonderful,
for
so thank
having
you
me
so
on.
Of course.